Hello, everyone. I'm Cheldin Barlatt Rumer, and this is it. Welcome back to This Is It TV. We have a special guest for all of you. I'd love for her to introduce herself, her first and last name, and the name of the business.
Hello, Cheldin. My name is Nicole Stephenson. I'm the director of the Society of Professional Women program at the Mainline Chamber of Commerce.
Oh my goodness, you guys are so good to me. I have to reminisce a little bit about the day in which I keynote spoke at one of their events. When I tell you, it was literally the highlight of my year. It was so good. It was so good. The group is absolutely amazing. The most supportive group of people I have spoken in front of in a very, very long time. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Wonderful, my darling. In the height of all of this uncertainty, we're relying on our organizations and groups to give us some sense of consistency, some sense of touch base. I even received an email from you recently just touching base and saying hi and checking in on me. What types of things are you doing to do the same for others within your organization? What are you guys up to?
Yeah, so, the futures of chambers of commerce are really in a very difficult situation, just like many other businesses. And, when this all broke out in March, early March is kind of when I had been hearing reports. We had a really important event, much like the one you did, with a speaker from California during Women's History Month.
Wow.
And during that first week of March, I was already receiving cancellations and emails for events over the summer that I had planned, the fall, and the cancellations were just coming one after another. And I'm not and Cheldin, I've been with you over a year now on multiple things that we've worked on together, and I am not a canceller. Okay, no. I am a move forward type of person, and I thought, with all of these cancellations, if they are rescheduled, because we didn't know the gravity of the situation, right. If these are all planned for the fall, not only do I have my own events to contend with in the fall, but I will have all of these other events. And I said, no way, we need to move forward so that I can close my chapters and move on and get to the fall and, live.
Yeah.
So we started researching virtual platforms immediately. My boss, my team, and we all talked about it. And I said, I'd like to go virtual. First of all, we've always wanted to go virtual, but we were afraid because we have a lot of networking in our organization that would be something that would hurt us. We weren't sure how to do it. So in a way, I see positives try to always during this. So I'm thinking this is a great opportunity for us to explore something we always wanted to, but maybe we're a little hesitant to. So I said, let's go virtual. Let's take this event, because think about it. People are getting the 2-week stay-at-home order. So we wanted to make an assessment by that Friday that Governor Wolf was making this is your last day for 2 weeks announcement. And I said, let's just go virtual and see what happens.
Right.
And thank God we did, because we ended up taking that event virtual, and people were sitting at home that were working from home that didn't have access to people anymore like us, or they were like, okay, what do I tell my boss I did today? Well, guess what? You could say you were on a seminar for an hour and a half. So we wanted to continue to provide opportunities for people to interact and engage. We still wanted to have a networking portion. So what we did was we sent out the attendee list to everyone that was on the seminar and said, we'll provide an introductory 15-minute phone call with anyone on this list, as long as everyone agrees to it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we've been evolving. Is we started small. We started with the Society of Professional Women, which is the program that I run. Then we started with the Nonprofit Roundtable program, which I also run. Yeah. And then we even now, the good news is everyone realized this is kind of semi-permanent, which we just discussed. So now we're kind of ahead of the game. So now I've noticed people are like, we can't keep canceling, and they're starting to get involved. Whereas now we're on tier 2 or 3. And so we've even figured out how to do our business card exchanges and do breakout rooms so that we can have those personal connections of 5, 10, 15-minute introductions. So we've really started kind of absorbing all of our programs virtually and figuring out ways to still facilitate them. And so we're kind of ahead of the game. Yeah. We also started a Recovery Resources Live virtual event series where we had Representative Chrissy Houlihan when that bill first passed. We had Stradley Vernon attorneys do something on the CARES Act to kind of break down what all of those things are. We've had multiple, a work from home session, a LinkedIn session. So we're doing those 1 to 2 times a week. So my role has actually evolved even in this circumstance where I'm doing more than ever, because now it's a free resource, not just for chamber members, but anyone. So like anyone across the country can go on and say, let me learn about the CARES Act according to these attorneys. And they're all available on our website at mlcc.org. So the great news about Zoom is everything's recorded. So we have now content that you can watch whenever you want, because now it's almost like we're doing Zoom calls every day, like you and I just discussed. So it's almost overwhelming. So now it's not that they have to watch it right when we're having it. They have access to it at any time. So that was a long-winded explanation.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, so many good things there. And I think that in this time of uncertainty, we lean on the organizations, you know, that we're a part of, that have resource and that can provide us with clear education. When you're talking about that programming and the programming that you've done even before quarantine, right? I call it BQ, before quarantine, and AQ, after quarantine. That's my rationale on the whole scenario. But in that BQ space, you were really focused on, and I would love for you to talk a little bit about the importance of education, the importance of arming people with quality and accurate, not only content, but resources to better themselves and their businesses. How important is that to you and your organization?
Yeah, it's just as important now as it was BQ. So that was the point, was that that's what we needed to evolve. So before quarantine, we were about that in-person connection for a lot of our events, but we also still did a lot of content online through our newsletters and our information that we were sharing. But really, the educational piece that we offered our companies was really important, because it really allowed our business community to send their entry-level employees to learn more about how business works, provide those introductions, meet people from other industries. And so a lot of people, you know, look at the Mainline Chamber of Commerce as a community to belong to become part of that network, so that maybe they're just a listing and people can look them up, and that's fine. But for me, especially, and this is probably why they don't hire me in membership, but for me, it's about being present, okay? You have a way of connecting with people in person that is so different than just being a listing. And for certain industries, it is key to develop an actual relationship. I mean, sure, there are some companies that can be a part of a listing and you could say, I'm in the chamber and I want to support the chamber, so boom, 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 this is the person I'm picking. And then there's other situations where that really doesn't work. I mean, if you're going to get a $40,000 bank loan, you might want to know the banker, and the banker might want to know you, right? So there are certain industries where that in-person connect is just as important as, you know, the listing. And so before quarantine, we hosted numerous events and in different platforms and capacities that were in different industries. So for example, Society of Professional Women had a very particular mission, which was to accelerate and expand the influence of women. So we encouraged men to attend that as well, because we wanted to make sure that men were aware that it was just as important for them to be in the room, so that they can help to put their entry-level people up and then promote them to middle management, or to even learn some of the topics that we discuss in terms of differences of leadership styles between men and women. Not that one is wrong or right, but just different. And what are those differences? So providing that education piece that you talked about. And it wasn't all just for gender for SPW. We started branching into other things like neurodiversity when we had Dr. Temple Grandin speak. One of the first female astronauts came and spoke for us. Anyone can learn from these amazing individuals. And yourself, Cheldin. I mean, you talked about marketing and branding. That's not gender exclusive. So we have that program. We have, like I said, the Nonprofit Roundtable program, which is solely a resource for nonprofits, because they don't want to be in a room with people trying to sell to them. We need to just give them the education, because they already struggle with fundraising as it is. We have a young professionals group that meets. We have business card exchanges. We have signature events at the chamber, like our economic forecast breakfast that talks about the economic, you know, draft of the region. We have our Mainline Gives Back Awards, where we're awarding businesses that are doing great in our community. So all of these pieces, we have government affairs. I mean, we have so many programs that each industry can decide which room they want to be in and where it would be the most important for them to be. So that was before quarantine. And now we have to kind of take them and see how we can offer them AQ after quarantine. So my question is, as we evolve and decide what the future is, maybe the virtual part isn't going to hurt us, because people are now noticing how much the in-person is so important. Yes, it's great to have virtual, and maybe it's better for us to have some virtual experience so that people that can't make it to the event can still log in and still access it. But we shouldn't worry that those people, 10 or 15 people that log in virtually, would hurt our attendance, because we know that people are learning how important it is that they do need to be there.
I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I also think for those of us that are in the event space, those of us who public speak, keynote, create workshops, those types of scenarios, as opposed to saying, okay, this is not necessarily going to be advantageous for me. I think that what it does is elevate the value of time spent face-to-face, the actual monetary value of it, as well as the resource-based value of meeting with you as professionals face-to-face when that becomes an opportunity that is available. So having, the ability, and we talked about it before we started recording, I'm now interviewing and speaking to people across the country and even globally based on the technology that is available. But going into that next phase, when I'm able to host people within our studio, have a cocktail event, be able to do a networking or a happy hour, that will be even more valuable. Do you agree? Post.
I agree. I think there's just something about being in person that Zoom just cannot. I mean, we were talking about this with our children. So Cheldin and I both have young children. My daughter and her daughter are in dance class.
Yes.
My daughter does not want to engage digitally, even though she could see her teacher and her friends. Even her little friends are running off the screen and they're not paying attention. They're not doing the dance. The structure that we've discussed in classes, we both have children, in school.
Yes.
It is not the same for attention span sometimes too. And I'll guiltily admit it. I mean, obviously I'm not emailing right now while we're talking, but sometimes when you're on a Zoom call, and that was the other key we had to figure out was how long are our events going to be on Zoom? Because after 25 minutes, if you see a ping come in, you start to get the itch.
Yes.
It's kind of like what we talk about when we talk about work-life balance and not turning off, for example. So like be present with your family. Don't bring your phone to the dinner table, because when you hear that ding, I don't know about you, but when I hear ding, because I'm like overly like,
got it right.
I'm a little OCD. So like when I hear a ping, I'm like, what is it?
What is it?
Can I do it now in 5 minutes? Like get it done. So like for me, if I'm sitting here and I start to see ping, 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 it's very distracting.
Right.
Not that I'm not paying attention to you, Cheldin, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what is the time frame of these virtual events? So we've tried to limit them to an hour max. We're like 30 minutes is actually the best, I think. 30, an hour maybe, because it's just so hard to not have that distraction, especially on your computer where you have access to everything, even, you're seeing LinkedIn pops, you're seeing Facebook, you're seeing ching, 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 it's everywhere. And you're like, you can't focus even if you wanted to.
Even if you wanted to.
My personality, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's needless to say what's going on in and around your home. Right. So now it's a situation where it's not as if you're in your office and you're isolated. You're hearing, I'm in a basement, my basement studio / office right now, and I can hear my children. I can hear them. And my curiosity is, okay, what are they up to? Are they well? Is it, so there are so many distractions. So I guess what I'm getting from you is keeping everything short and sweet, utilizing the technology that is available, but we're all looking forward to connecting, offline when that becomes a reality.
And in person, you're held accountable. I remember one time I was in an event. It was one of ours.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the front with the speaker was on stage, and he came all the way from New York, and he's very, very successful. And his whole thing is about doing business well. And he was like, hey, you're on the phone. Turn your phone off. You're at an event. Like, he called the person out from the stage.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. So like when you're in person, you can't be checking email. I mean, some people do it. I see it at events. No, so I'm not saying in person takes away the distraction completely, because people do what they have to do. Yeah. But I'm just saying when you're in person, you're held more accountable than you are behind a screen, because you can't see what about the CNN anchor with no pants on? I mean, I have pants on, Cheldin.
Oh, thank you very much.
My point is, you're not as accountable if you're not in person.
It wouldn't make a difference regardless, but the truth of the matter is that we are adjusting in these times, and it sounds as if you have adjusted and pivoted to serve your community, your audience, as well as your membership. I want to make sure that people can get in touch with you. I want to make sure that people who want this content that is now free and available, oh my gosh, how generous, and they also want to be able to learn more about your organization, has the ability to do so. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to learn more about what you've got going on, where would they find that information?
Sure. If they go to MLCC, as a Mainland Chamber of Commerce.org, we have a COVID-19 recovery resources page that's scrolling through our tab. You can directly click on that. And there are tons of resources for the situation right now, as including all of those recordings from all these events we've had. The Nonprofit Roundtable, you just go to our programs, click on it. You can see the past 2 recordings from the Nonprofit Roundtable even on that page. So you can go through any of our programs and click on the links to learn more about any of them. Our Society Professional Women program actually has its own website as well, spwmainline.com. So that's specifically focused on the content that we offer for SPW.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm telling you, not only am I a fan, I'm a participant. I absolutely love this group and everything that they've got to offer and all of the resources in which they provide. I suggest you follow, fan, and like them. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, wonderful. Guys, you have all the information that you need to gain the resources that you want to take your business to the next level, even during quarantine. From all of us here at This Is It TV, I'm Cheldin Barlatt Rumer, and we will see you soon. Take care.